Does God have sympathy for narcissists? Hi, welcome to today's little lesson, and thank you so very much for joining me. On our previous lesson, I started talking once again about narcissism. It's kind of a new term, I guess, in the English language, that is, as far as labeling people. I think it might have been Freud himself, amongst psychologists, who came up with that name for a certain category of people that displayed certain selfish traits. But I could be wrong. It doesn't really make a difference because it's just a word. Narcissism is just a word. It's just an adjective used to describe certain people that meet a certain criteria of selfishness. And on our last lesson, I talked about the fact that, we're all selfish to a degree, and so therefore it is wise to use caution before labeling someone a narcissist. People have said to me, for example, well, are you, a psychologist or a psychiatrist? Well, no, but that doesn't mean that I can't read the 9 traits of narcissism and compare those traits with somebody else and their behaviors and come up with a reasonable thesis that they are a narcissist by definition. But again, that whole definition is arbitrary. You realize you just categorize a certain group of selfish people, so that they can be labeled. And hopefully you'd think it's so that they can be diagnosed and then worked with to help them escape their narcissistic tendency. But most of the psychologists that I've read and watched their YouTube videos, they tell you, run from narcissists. Get out of any relationships that you have. If you can't get out of the relationship, just have as little to do with them as possible because it can't be cured. Well, okay. So they're defining narcissism in order to help the victims, which is good, because when you recognize, wait a second, I've been having all these self-doubts about what's wrong with me, because that's one of the ploys of the narcissist. They are the ultimate gaslighters, where the problem is you, and so good people, empathetic people, they're the targets of narcissists because they're perceived as weak and can be easily taken advantage of in order to gain whatever that narcissist wants. So when things aren't going well for a narcissist, they don't take negativity very well. They handle disappointment often with rage, and if you disappoint them, you are going to see their rage. And that's really how I was introduced to the whole topic and became interested in it. I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, but I am a person who's, 63 years old here and dealt with a lot of people in ministry over the years, and, had a person on my staff who was unlike any person I'd ever met. And the first thing I noticed, this person, has a real problem with outbursts of anger. Well, I recognize that as being a work of the flesh, according to Galatians chapter 5. And this person could be handled disappointments with anger and had no hesitation in expressing their anger towards me. And I'm a guy that tries to get along with people, And so I would conciliate and try to understand and do my best to please this person. But one of these psychologists that I've watched on YouTube. He's got his PhD like all the rest of them do. Smart guy, neat guy, Dr. Les Carter. He wrote a book, I believe he's the one who wrote the book, called Trying to Please, or Pleasing You is Killing Me. I'm laughing, but it's not funny when it's happening to you, okay? And it wasn't funny then when it was happening to me. Trying to please you is killing me because you can't be made happy. And that's true about narcissists, okay? I mean, they're so self-absorbed that, you're always, they're not to blame. Are you kidding me? They're superior to everybody else. They're not to blame. It's you. You're the problem. And so this is one benefit that has happened from all those YouTube videos, which there are hundreds of them now. It's become a cottage industry amongst certain psychologists, all about narcissism. And once you realize, oh my goodness, I'm not dealing with, you know, just a regular person here. And I've, in my case, you know, not, well, I've had conflicts like everyone else has had at times, but never in my life did I ever experience someone like this person. So difficult to please, so hard to understand, had a perception of the way things were happening that was so different, you know, and person thought that they were so important. And I wouldn't hesitate to tell you, you know, how important they were. And rules were for everybody else. Everyone else on our staff, you know, we have obviously things that everybody has to do the same so we can work together. Well, this person, you know, was the ultimate rule breaker and just disregard. And the thing that is so confusing about narcissists is that oftentimes they can appear very charming and considerate and pleasant. Those are the psychologists would find them as covert narcissists. They do a very good job at hiding their narcissism. And most of their associates don't see their antisocial behavior. It's just those within who get close to them. And, you know, and they begin to see the dark side. And I remember this person, I first began referring to this person with a couple of other staff members who had also experienced the same kind of antisocial behavior from this person, you know, as a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That's the only way I knew to describe it, because, you know, the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, two personalities, one very nice and charming, one very evil, you know. And then as we began to like study a little bit of psychology and said, well, this person has some kind of neurosis. There's some kind of, you know, something off kilter here. And as other staff members, you know, saw the dark side of this person, and these are all, we only employ people that love God, you know, the only people who want to work at Heaven's family. And so they're easy to get along with, they're patient, they're merciful, they cover up sin and so forth. And so it took a while for it really to come to the surface. But there are some people that never saw it. And you know, they when they were told about it, they didn't believe it. They think that the person who's reporting the narcissist is the person who has trouble. And that's the terror of dealing with a narcissist, at least the covert narcissist, because they're charming, they're intelligent, you know, they're considerate, as long as you're pleasing them and admiring them and doing what they say and so forth. And so when you say anything negative about those people, other people say, well, there's something wrong with you, because I've never seen that side of the person, and the narcissist plays into that. And if you read the testimonies of people who watch these narcissistic, the videos about narcissism, you know, there's gazillions of comments like that, you know. It's you know, Dr. Les Carter, I think his YouTube video channel is called Recovering from Narcissism, because it is traumatic. And this person that I suffered under, and oh my goodness, the damage that one narcissist can do in a person's life as they begin to influence your friends and turn them against you and so forth. It's a horrible, horrible experience. And it, you know, puts you on guard. So on our previous little lesson, we talked about the 9 traits. So if you missed that, you know, find that previous video, the 9 traits of the narcissist. And I've looked on YouTube for videos that explain what makes a person a narcissist. And of course, psychology there's a degree of science, but I have to say, in my humble opinion, that there's a degree of subjectivity as well. And psychologists will say, we really don't know what causes a person to be a narcissist. Is it in the nature or the nurture? Genetically, is it something that people are, inherently inclined towards? Well, we're all inclined to be selfish, yes. Or is it something that it was nurtured in them by their parents or something, where they were always told how great they were? Well, my question is, does God have sympathy for narcissists? And of course he does. He doesn't approve of any selfishness whatsoever. But, oh my goodness, he is gracious and loving, and he's in the redemption business. And there isn't any narcissist who, if they will come to a place of self-acknowledgement and say, yes, Lord, I do have a problem. Please help me to change. Oh, God will answer that prayer, just like he would answer that prayer for any of us that would say, Lord, I acknowledge that I am selfish, and I need your sanctification. I want to become more like Jesus. Okay, but you got to get to that first starting place. God resists the proud, and that's, the root of selfishness is pride. I think I'm more important than you, so I'm prideful. God resists the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. And so that's the ticket to God's work in you. Humbling yourself to say, Lord, help me to see what I don't see. Search me and show me if there's any hidden sin in me, and to be honest, Thank God, God gives us people in our lives who actually do love us enough to tell us the truth. Hopefully, if you're married, you have a spouse who will do that. Hopefully they'll do it with grace and gentleness, and first of all, tell you how much the things they admire about you before they break the news to you, that there's a little area where you could use a little bit of help, and then finish it all with some encouragement and some hope. Let me make a true confession to you. I rarely, if ever, read the comments on, the people make about my videos. And the reason, now I do have a person on our staff who reads them, and they send me the nice ones. I guess I'm a narcissist because I like to be affirmed. Well, we all like to be affirmed. But what I'm trying to avoid is not those constructive criticism. I'm trying to avoid those nasty comments that people who you don't know and they don't know you, they write out these nasty, nasty comments. I don't know what's the goal. The goal is just to hurt you. Well, I don't want to be hurt, okay? So I'm not going to read your nasty comments from someone I don't even know. You really think you're going to influence me by writing nasty, hurtful things to me? That's going to change me or cause me to consider, if I'm wrong or not? Those people are out of their minds. And again, I feel so sorry for those kinds of people that they don't, first of all, they haven't even, they need to take Human Being 101. Some of these people profess to be Christians, but they're hardly even human beings. Because, they're just full of I can't think of any other word than just hatred. To send an insulting comment to someone you don't even know, what's the point? What's the point? Just don't say anything if you don't like it. Move on. Oh, you feel good about yourself because you blasted somebody and hurt them to the core by your insults? I think some people, they hate themselves so much that, this is my theory, my psychological theory, they hate themselves so much that the only way they can elevate themselves is to put other people down. It's kind of like when you squash a bug, it elevates you just a little bit. And that's how some people are. Well, time to become a human being, okay? And quit writing nasty comments to people that you don't even know and who you can't help, and they're not going to listen to you. And if you have to say something negative, let's say you're anonymous and you're writing a YouTube, well, say something positive first and say, however, I humbly submit an alternative view for your consideration, although who am I, to be writing this, because I don't even know, so you display humility, and then you close it out by saying something nice at the end, so then it's easier to swallow. A spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down, the medicine go down, the medicine go down. But a lot of people don't even know that when it comes to talking to people that you know and you love, your loved ones, to be insulting them and trying to put them down. Oh my goodness. Let's have a little bit more grace here. Okay. All right. Well, run out of time for this little lesson. But I think I'll talk about this one more time, and we'll do that in our next lesson. Appreciate your comments. Don't write nasty ones. But if you write nice ones, or ones that really are constructive criticism, they make it through the filter and they get to me. Okay. Okay. I love you no matter what. That's what I'm determined to do in my heart. If you've never been to davidservant.org, it's all there for you. Lots of great biblical information that could be a blessing to you spiritually on many biblical topics. Okay, so check us out, davidservant.org or .com. Either one of those works. Until next time, may the Lord continue to bless you.